That is right.
I don't want the Vikings to be in this hunt because even if they do get the #1 pick, then time will run out and then they won't get the pick in and then they end up not getting luck.
Yep.
Also, with the new collective bargaining agreement, you don't have to give your first picks or your first round picks $87 million.
You're not mortgaging the future.
They actually have rookie wage scales now, so it's a realistic amount for a rookie who has never played in an NFL game before.
Less pressure if you get it wrong, less pressure then. I mean, you get a pick wrong, it's like, all right, well, we're not tied down by $45 million for once.
Probably be a lot easier to trade it away too if you wanted to trade it because people would be more willing to get. Yeah, in theory. Yeah.
If you haven't had enough Minnesota sports, we'll be back to talk about the college team in Minnesota coming up next here on the Sports Lounge. The Minnesota Golden Gophers don't give you much hope either if you're a Minnesota sports fan, including the Vikings and the Twins. So we'll start with the Gophers. They lose again to North Dakota State, this time by 13 points, 37-24. I think the sad thing is, I don't know how many of us are actually surprised that this happened.
We have to go back to the tape, but last week I think I actually did pick North Dakota State to win.
Good call. Good call.
And what the great stat from this whole thing is that Dakota schools quarterbacked by someone other than Thomas O'Brien are undefeated against North Dakota State in the past 3-4 years.
Yep.
Unbelievable stat.
It's unbelievable, and I just can't get over the fact that they.
Charlie just sneezed.
I just sneezed out on bad Gopher stuff.
Marie had the camera right on Hildebrand when that happened.
I can't get over the fact that the Gophers schedule these. I think they should schedule them, but they got to schedule teams they can beat. You would think.
Who would that be?
North Dakota State.
They need to drop down to VMI and the Citadel.
Might as well start scheduling MIAC schools. Start scheduling Gustavus, St. John's. Well, they couldn't beat St. John's right now, but
I mean, they have a 22 scholarship edge or something like that over NDSU. These FCS schools.
Their budget's 5 times NDSU.
5 times greater. The market.
One of the largest universities in the country.
Largest in the country, and they're losing to little North Dakota State, USD. It's a miracle they beat South Dakota State 2 years ago. It's a bit ridiculous. I mean, I keep thinking that there's going to be a bottom. They're going to reach rock bottom. Has it happened? Has it now happened? Or
I thought it happened a couple of years ago when they won.
When they won 1-10, yeah, back in like 2007 when they lost to the Bison again. But 3 years later, I don't think it's happened yet.
I posed this question that I posed like during the first or second show. Do they win a game in the Big Ten this year?
Yeah.
Everybody said, they'll win 1 or 2.
I think they win 1. I mean, I think.
But Indiana losing to North Texas.
I still think they'll win 1 because, I mean, honestly, if you look at the Big Ten right now, other than Wisconsin, who's played a bad schedule, like a really bad schedule, everyone else, even, undefeated teams like Illinois and Nebraska don't look great right now. And then everyone else, I mean, they're all, teams with lots of flaws and warts all over their faces right now. So.
I honestly thought last year's team was as bad as these guys too. So, and they got 3 wins. So, I mean, three wins for the Gophers. Can they get 2 Big Ten wins? I think they can.
So you're retracting your bowl prediction.
I think I have to. I came out.
You don't have to.
I came out of that.
What are they, 1-3?
I came out of.
They could be 5-1. They could be 5-1.
I honestly thought they could. I honestly thought they would be 3-1 going to play Michigan and have a shot at.
How's that going to work out?
They're not going to. They're going to get pounded.
What if they win? What if they actually beat Michigan?
If somehow they kind of slow down Denard Robinson running, he can't throw at all. He was like 7-19 passing last week. Maybe they'll win the Little Brown Jug finally.
I'm really split on this game actually because part of me says they're going to lose by 45 points. The other part of me is like this season through 4 games has already been as crazy as you can possibly imagine.
Like it can only get better.
It can only get crazier, and maybe the Gophers win. I don't.
Well, if it's it's not at TCF
not. It's
Bank.
At the Big House.
Well, then that's to their advantage. They're 2-8 at TCF Bank. I'm for one.
Who was their other one?
They
beat us, and who did they beat before?
Who was the other one? I don't even
know. Their home win last week, against Miami of Ohio.
Oh, Miami
of Ohio. They had 1 home win last year. No, they have 2 home wins in the last 2 years. SDSU doesn't count.
Right.
That was 3 years.
That was 3 years ago.
Yeah, but
But like the thing with the Gophers is like you talk about Coach Kill, and it's like even that has drama there. It's like, should he even be coaching?
He
This
has
whole thing is in disarray.
over under. Will he have more seizures or they have more wins? Well, he's had a second one now.
no, he's had like 20 seizures in the last 3 weeks.
He's had another one. They put him in the Mayo Clinic. Tell this guy to, okay, how about we put up the clipboard for this season?
If you are going to be a head coach with seizures, though, it's probably best to do it in Minnesota, where you're so close to the Mayo Clinic. To be
That's true. I mean, this is short. I mean, it's a drive up the interstate, basically. Like, I don't know. I foresee Denard Robinson carving up Minnesota more than I see him struggling.
Really?
I think I would agree with that.
You would agree with
Not
that?
with his arm, but definitely with his legs.
Definitely with his legs, yeah. This could be bad. Maybe this next week is bottom.
Just transition now to South Dakota State. They lose to Illinois State. Austin Sumner, he looked okay. Didn't throw for a touchdown. He ran for one. He didn't slide at the one. So, kudos to you.
He didn't throw any interceptions, did he?
No.
He didn't. I mean, no. First start, not bad for a guy making his first start. Defense, a lot better, but still the offense. There was no running game really. Nobody got over 50 yards. They got kind of a two-headed monster there. So they're 1-3 now, coming home. Is there much to look forward to now anymore?
Well, that Illinois State game, Summer didn't throw any picks. They still had those turnovers, and crucial ones too, those fumbles. Is there anything to look forward to? I said get out of this little road slate 2-2, and your hopes are alive. Okay, they're 1-3, and then you also have to look at what happened in those 3 games. This isn't a very good football team. It is so strange to say that now, as opposed to 3 weeks ago, where you look what Southern Utah has done since then. I think they've won every single game, and they beat UNLV on Saturday, and they look like a good team. Back then, for 3 quarters, they've looked good for 3 quarters. The next 13 quarters have been this kind of sort of sloppy mess of turnovers, shoddy secondary play. It really just kind of seems like a lack of heart. It seems like when that team gets down by a touchdown, it just seems like they get completely deflated. They never really gather it, pick it back up. Sumner almost did pick it back up for him all by himself, but it wasn't enough. It's just not a very good football team. Just right now.
And then penalties all of a sudden. This last game, they get penalties now. They have 9-10 penalties all of a sudden. And
undisciplined, yeah.
And you say, once they get down, they kind of, whatever happens to them, which seems kind of weird because in the past, those first few years of Division I, they would come back from multiple 3-4 touchdowns back to win games on the road. And now it seems like, like you say, if they're down at halftime or whatever, it seems so tough just to even get within 1 score.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think one thing that stands out from Saturday is I think it was a little wet, but they fumbled it 6 times, lost 3 of those. You can't turn the ball over. You can't have penalties, plague your day, and that's kind of been the problem with the Jackrabbits is that they don't put themselves in a good position to win to begin with, and then fumbling, turnovers, inconsistency on offense, penalties, it doesn't add up to the Jacks having much success at all.
Yeah, it seemed like their defense played all right. They did have a defensive score. They held them to 20. It was 20-13, right? Yeah, and their offense. Basically, their offense needs to get better. They couldn't run the ball effectively, and I don't think you could be successful here throwing the ball 40 or 50 times a game. I think you could maybe in September and at times in October, but you're not going to be able to do that in November here when it's 20 degrees and snowing. So they need to be able to run the ball, and basically they just haven't been able.
I think they have the weapons to be able to run the ball. I think you saw what Tyrell Cool did at that Southern Utah game. He looked explosive, looked like he was tough to bring down. And then you had a 3rd down back in Zenner who was quick, had good field vision. I think they have the weapons to have a running game. I don't know what's happened to that. I think a lot of it has kind of been a combination of offensive line play, plus they fall behind, so they got to throw the ball. But SDSU stands no chance at sort of rectifying their season up to this point if Zenner don't get back to what they're capable of playing like, and defensively too. Just that the secondary, there's pass rushes dwindled down to virtually nothing too the past 3 weeks as well. A lot of issues that need to be turned around. Can that happen in Indiana State? A little bit, but
they have
some
team.
issues. Indiana State is very good. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't like the Jacks' chances against Indiana State. When you throw in the fact that Ronnie Fouch is a quarterback, he's very good for Indiana State. They got a good running back in Darius Gates. I don't like the Jacks' chances. Although they were in a similar situation last year, 0-4.
They made a little bit of.
They beat Western Illinois, a good team who could pass the ball at home. Very dramatic game, but
beat Southern Illinois on the road last year.
So I guess there's a little hope, but
I'm going to try to take this with an optimistic
Thank
point of
you.
view.
You always do.
Thank you.
Well, you guys are so doom and gloom all the time. I feel like I have to. Well, I'll just keep this with simple stats. They're 1-0 at home, 0-3 on the road. They're playing at home this week.
Boom.
So, hopefully they can use that home field advantage to their advantage.
Dale Moss, 9 catches, 98 yards.
He's turned out to be a
Unbelievable.
little bit of a double threat, huh?
Unbelievable.
At the beginning of the year, I posited a question saying, will he lead the team in receiving yards?
And he does.
None of us really said he would, and I believe he does at this point.
I am shocked at this output. 9 for 98. He had 100 yards last week. Amazing.
I'm not surprised. He's 6'4", 210, and he has a speed and he can jump. He can hit the ceiling in the studio. The attributes were there for him to be an outstanding wide receiver, and it came to fruition. He was off for the first couple weeks, but now he's come on.
I'm surprised, but that was more just because of the nuances of being a receiver and the precise route running, which I think is just a credit to him that obviously, he took the time in the offseason and preseason to do some of these, at least, learn some of the position. I'm sure he'd be the first to tell you he doesn't have it down perfectly and is still making, I'm sure some mistakes here and there, but obviously knows enough to be playing well. So, kudos to him.
I didn't think
he looks good.
I didn't think you would take on the wide receiver position like he did, but he is their best threat, I guess, right now. Through 4 games, you'd like to see more out of Rowland. You'd like to see more out of see Brandon Hubert get the ball in the end zone and hold on to it. But this is a decent receiving core.
It's not their weak point, I'd say that.
I think Dale Moss is fitting right in. There's a lot of hope that maybe if they get those guys the ball, they've got a little bit better chance because they have not ran the ball well 2-3 games now.
In a row, yeah. It makes me wonder if Moss had put on pads at the way beginning, what receiver he would have turned into by this point. But
because there's already NFL scouts looking at him, just because of his athletic ability.
I think they're just looking.
But now he's got something on tape. He's productive now. He's not just the guy that can reach 11 feet and is fast. He's got actual, stats to back this up.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he's a guy who sneaks into a camp like SSU's had the past few years. Maybe he's one of them, which would be a pretty miraculous thing.
It would be. Because they've had people go to camp but no position, skill positions. It's all been linebackers, offensive linemen, defensive guys.
Yep.
So it's really hard at that level to get a skill position guy in the NFL.
Totally.
No, it's really hard at that level just to get anybody, period.
Yes.
Right. Compared to a lot of other FCS schools, we're just lucky to have the guys we have that have been to camp and the handful that have made the NFL.
Yes. Coming up next, we're going to talk about some black jerseys and if it's appropriate to go ape blank nuts on these black jerseys coming up next here on the Sports Lounge.